Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel. It's Inside the Jets. Brought to you by EY, building a better working world. And by M&T Bank, the official community bank of your New York Jets. Now, here's Erik Allen and Erik Coleman.
Welcome to Inside the Jets. We're broadcasting live from Vanderbilt Sports and Spirits inside the Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel. The Jets improved to 3 on the year with a 42-34 victory over the Indianapolis Colts. After the game, Todd Bowles said, we wouldn't have won this game last year. We wouldn't have won this game probably a couple of weeks ago. What is the difference in the New York Jets now?
Well, I think they have a better sense of maturity on the team. The leaders are stepping up. The young players are now they're seasoned. Jamal Adams. You look at the offensive line, Bryan Winters, who we're going to have on the show later on.
That's a good tease. Bryan Winters will be on in our second segment.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of guys who are stepping up to the plate, who, they're getting better at situational football, and, it's helping the team. And they're going to continue to grow and win these close games, or win a lot of close games going down the stretch.
Here's what I see from this team, because we talk about the maturation process. When the Colts made that second half run and the Jets needed a play, they made a play. Darren Lee, in this case yesterday, I think he took the wind out of the sails of the Colts with an interception. And, oh, by the way, Leonard Williams put Quentin Nelson on his back on that takeaway. But that speaks to a team growing, right? Mm-hmm. When you're taking those shots, you need a play. And the Jets early on in the season, maybe they were scuffling to make that play happen. Now it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone's doing their job. Everyone's playing within the scheme of the defense and the offense. I mean, you watch that play with Darren Lee's interception. Everyone on the defense was aware of what was happening. They were communicating across the board. Leonard Williams put a guy right into Andrew Luck's lap. Darren Lee showed a blitz, dropped back into coverage, read his eyes, made a great play. That's playing great team defense. Everyone doing their job and executing to the highest.
Why are the takeaways happening right now for this team? Because it's not just a trend anymore. It is part of the Jets' DNA. They have 15 takeaways through 6 games, 4 against the Colts.
Yeah, very impressive. And, I think that goes to the growth. I talked about before the season, Jamal Adams, Marcus May, Darren Lee. These players last year, they were just balling. They were just out there doing their job, hustling to the ball. Now they're starting to get a better understanding of how offenses are attacking them. They're starting to see tendencies. They're starting to jump routes and bait quarterbacks into making mistakes.
What do you think of that start to the game? Second play from scrimmage. Jamal Adams is in there. Miscommunication in the backfield between Andrew Luck and his running back, but Adams bats the ball up, and there's Morris Claiborne with the house call.
That's great. That's opportunistic defense. That's everybody flying to the ball. And when you get 11 hats to the football every play, something good is going to happen. You're going to have a deflection that tips up. You're going to have a fumble that someone's going to recover that they wouldn't have got to if they hadn't been hustling. So that just plays to the culture of this defense. They're flying around. They're playing great football, and great things happen.
I don't want to bury the offense too much here because we're talking a lot about the defense, but you're a guy who played safety. What do you think about Jamal Adams after the game saying, I sucked? But he was in on those 2 takeaways. I think he has such a high standard for himself. So in the locker room, I think you can take it one of 2 ways. Hey, maybe this guy's being a little bit too hard on himself. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he's saying to the rest of the guys in here, listen, nobody played perfect out here today, including myself. We got a ways to go.
Yeah, he doesn't want his team to get comfortable. He doesn't want himself to get comfortable. And I think you saw that growth this week. After the first game against Detroit, the team came out a little complacent. They came out sluggish. They learned from that mistake. After beating the Broncos, they took it upon themselves to take the practice week seriously. Come out and play against the Colts, start fast, play hard the entire game, and that's what they did. And you're starting to see that growth. You're starting to see those players mature and take this thing seriously. And I like Jamal Adams' approach. I didn't play good enough. He got beat on a couple of plays, a couple of third downs that he typically doesn't get beat on. If he makes those plays, who knows what happens in this game. But, with that attitude, they can do nothing but get better.
Inside the Jets is presented by EY, building a better working world. Speaking of a better working world, what do you think about rookie quarterback Sam Darnold? For 3 consecutive games before the Jets played the Colts, he completed 50% of his passes or less. Against the Colts, he comes out and hits on 24-30.
Amazing. You know, and I think everyone thought Jeremy Bates was crazy when they said, when he said that Darnold's best game was against the Jaguars, a game where he was under duress, a game where he made a couple of mistakes, but he still saw the growth in him. And he came out, Darnold came out last week, played a great game. This week, he continued to improve on that. He's making decisions quicker. He's being accurate with his throws, and the timing is there. You know, he has trust in his receivers. And the one thing about a rookie is he gets to make his mistakes in front of the whole world. He doesn't have the practice to make mistakes. He doesn't get to watch someone else make mistakes. He's out there doing it himself. Sam has done a great job of taking it upon himself to learn from his mistakes, improve every week, and I think that you're just going to continue to see him get better throughout the season.
Here is the difference of that ball game in the first half. The Jets had 3 takeaways. They convert those into 17 points. You got to give Claiborne the credit on the first 7. But Indianapolis had a pair of takeaways themselves. They only cashed in with 6 points. So you guys always talk about playing complementary football and each unit picking each other up. The defense picked the offense up when they made those miscues early.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you're going to need throughout the season. You're going to need to support one another. You know, sometimes the defense is going to get the team in a hole. They're going to put up a bunch of points, and they need the offense to come through and score some touchdowns, and vice versa. That's how you play complementary football. That's how you win games. You know, the special teams will have to come through and bail them out one time. You know, that's a sign of a good team, a team that's growing, and that's going to show a lot of promise.
Listen, Darnold's progression is really something to be excited about, because the previous week, you see him taking the shots and completing those to Robbie Anderson. He goes for 3 catches for 123 yards, a pair of touchdowns against the Denver Broncos in a victory. This week against Indianapolis, his favorite target, Quincy Enunwa, goes down. A lot of rookie quarterbacks would have been rattled, but Sam Darnold comes back and he gets Jermaine Kearse 9 catches. That ties a career high, 9 catches for him. And he started going to Terrell Pryor as well, who got in on the act. And how about Herndon, the tight end, the rookie out of Miami? He got in the end zone himself.
Yeah, and that's the wonderful thing about this offense is that there's not one star that's on this team. It's a group of very good players, great players, who, when called upon, they can step up and make the play. So if I'm a defense game planning against the Jets, who do you take away? Do you take away Crowell or Bilal Powell?
Yeah.
Do you take away, one of the receivers? Because they have so much depth and so much experience out there. It's great to see. And it's also great to see Sam Darnold taking what the defense gives him. He's not forcing anything. He's just doing a great job of taking what the defense gives him.
So you got to get into that more. How much stress does that put on the defense, the way Jeremy Bates and Sam Darnold are distributing the football?
It puts a lot of stress on, because typically when you play a team, they have their number one receiver who you come into the game and say, you know what, we're going to take him away, or we're going to take this run game away and make the team play left-handed. It's tough to do that with the Jets because they have such a variety of ways they can beat you offensively. And each week, Jeremy Bates has come up with a game plan to take advantage of the defense's weakness. It's not, I'm just going to be stubborn and run this play because this is what we run. You know what? The defense is allowing this. This is what we're going to take advantage of this week.
How about the play call early in the second half on Herndon's touchdown? Everybody's looking screen, and I tweeted that Jeremy Bates and Darnold froze the entire state of Indiana because Indianapolis is jumping up on that. And there goes Herndon down the sideline running all by his lonesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great job of self-scouting. Jeremy Bates has seen on the film that they've thrown a ton of screens to Quincy Enunwa, to Jermaine Kearse. So you know what? We're going to throw a screen and run a fake off it, throw the ball vertically. There was a mix-up in the coverage. Everybody jumped the screen and left Herndon running free.
So we sat here a couple of weeks ago, and I think a lot of folks externally might have left the Jets for dead. They were 1-3. They just got beaten up in Jacksonville, giving up more than 500 yards of total offense in a game where the score probably wasn't as close as the game indicated, but the Jets said, we're going to be all right. And here they are now, 3-3, the third game of a homestand coming up. We're going to get into it later, but the Minnesota Vikings coming to town. You can get this one. You can be to 4-3, and you'll be in good shape as you approach the midway mark.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge game for the Jets. A game that they can win, but it's going to be a challenge because Minnesota is explosive offensively. And if they continue to handle their business at home, Herm Edwards used to always say, you got to win all your home games and split on the road. That's the key to making it to the playoffs and winning your division. Yep. And the Jets are on their way. They're starting to take care of business at home, starting to win some of those games. And the more they win, the more confidence they're going to have. And we'll see what happens at the end of the year.
So we're off and running here on Inside the Jets. Eric Allen and Erik Coleman. We're going to come right back, and Bryan Winters will be around the corner.
Ernst & Young LLP is proud to be the exclusive professional business and accounting services sponsor of the New York Jets and MetLife Stadium, teaming with them as the official sponsor of the EY Coaches Club. As a global leader in assurance, tax, transaction, and advisory services, the global network of EY firms has better connected consultants who help organizations navigate the transformative age by asking better questions to find answers to some of the world's toughest challenges, all to build a better working world for their people, clients, and communities.
Every time you close your laptop, a Corona gets its lime. And every time your to-do list is to do one less thing, a Corona gets its lime. Every time you press pause. Every time you unwind or lose track of time, a Corona gets its lime. And every time your feet are up while the sun goes down, a Corona gets its lime. So drop a lime in and find your beach. Please drink responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
We haven't seen a superstar like this in years.
You're not kidding, Bob. The people need to know about this standout.
Introducing this year's most sought-after rookie, the M&T Bank Jets debit card. New on the scene, this fantastic plastic stands 2.125 inches tall and weighs a lean 0.2 ounces. This small but mighty paying machine is sure to be charging through checkout lines all season long.
Hey Jets fans, get your hands on the exclusive Jets debit card with Easy Choice Checking. It's free from a monthly maintenance fee and free from a minimum balance requirement, leaving you free from worry.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing this powerhouse everywhere soon.
No doubt about it. I want one on my team.
So show your love for the Jets and save on fees today. Rush to any M&T Bank branch or mtb.com/Jets today. M&T Bank, the official community bank of your New York Jets. Other transaction and service fees, including insufficient funds and overdraft fees, may apply to this account. Member FDIC.
Hi, football fans. This is Director Jared Maples with the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. It's our mission to protect New Jersey with our federal, state, and local partners. Of course, nobody knows our communities better than the people who live there. That's where you can help. If you see something that you suspect is out of the ordinary, report it. Together, we can keep our state safe. Remember, if you see something, say something. To learn more about what to look for, visit njhomelandsecurity.gov.
Jet fans, take your Sunday to another level with the premier Jets pregame party at Club Prime Sport. Enjoy food and drinks, games and giveaways, plus live entertainment. Elevate your game day at MetLife Stadium with a Jets experience like no other. Go to primesport.com or call 877-527-2603 today to secure your spot at the official Jets pregame hospitality at Club Prime Sport. With Prime Sport, it's more than a game, it's an experience. Primesport.com.
They couldn't play football without us. We built this stadium. You couldn't tailgate without us. We probably built the road that got you here. Most of all, we promote economic development. That means investments in infrastructure and construction to provide opportunities for developers, union contractors, and members of Operating Engineers Local 825. We're ELEC, the Engineers Labor Employer Cooperative. We build the infrastructure New Jersey and the Jets rely on.
Advance your career at Centenary University's School of Professional Studies. With accelerated scheduling and competitive pricing, it's convenient for busy adults to earn an MBA, undergraduate degree, or certificate. Centenary graduates work in hot fields like social media marketing, criminal justice, data analytics, health administration, and sports management. At Centenary University, they're committed to your success. Learn more at sps.centenaryuniversity.edu.
Play clock winding down. Takes the snap. Drops back. Looks right. Throws right. At the goal line. Into the end zone. That's a touchdown. Terrell Pryor just got across the chalk and was able to turn around and wall off defenders and make a touchdown catch.
Well, Welcome back to Inside the Jets. We are broadcasting live from Vanderbilt Sports and Spirits inside the Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel. Erik Allen and Erik Coleman here. Our player guest segment is presented by M&T Bank, the official community bank of your New York Jets. Let's bring in Bryan Winters. Bryan, thanks so much for joining us tonight. As always, your coach said after the ball game that the Colts win. Maybe you don't win it last year. Maybe you don't win it a couple weeks ago. What is different about this team right now and where it's at in terms of the maturation process?
Yeah, I just think as a unit, we're growing. It takes time. We've got young players, we've got new players, and just bonding and molding. I can speak for the offensive line. It obviously takes time for us to grow. Some of us were nicked up during camp and stuff. So coming together and working together, it just takes time. And people think it's just one of those things you put us all together and we're supposed to go win. So it just takes time, and we're just going to keep growing.
And can we talk about, I'm going to go back to last week. What does that do for your confidence? You play against Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Shane Ray, and shut them down. This last week they played against the Rams that had 5 sacks. What does that do for your confidence as an offensive line, knowing that if you guys work together, you can shut down anybody?
Yeah, we know we're a good unit. We know we got good players, and it just builds us up. But we can't look back in the past. We just got to keep working forward. And this week's Minnesota, so that's who we're looking at.
But, Bryan, did you hear that chatter in the offseason when everybody was criticizing the offensive line? In the summer, people were saying, well, this might be a weak link up front. And I talked to you about this in the locker room. Kelvin Beachum did not play a preseason game for you guys. You were dealing with a back issue a little bit. Spencer Long was just getting acclimated. I always thought it was going to take a little bit of time for you guys to find your groove.
Yeah, when people say stuff like that, it's motivation for us. But like I said earlier, we did not get to play with each other all together in preseason. So it took a little time going, learning each other, because you got to kind of get acclimated with each other. You can't just put anyone in there and, play well with each other. So I think we've been doing well so far.
How tight are you guys? You just talked about the cohesion up front, how important it is. Offensive lines, and you can talk about this in a second, they tend to be a little bit of a different group inside that locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to hang out together, keep a bond, because we got to know how each other work on and off the field. So I got to rely on the person to my left and right, because without them, I won't be able to do what I have to do, because there's always that saying, it goes as we go. So if one of the 5 is not doing well, we're not all going to do well.
So can we talk about the run game a little bit? I know last week 300-plus yards. This week you ran for 100 yards rushing. How important is it to establish the run game for the offensive line? And how much does it feed into your pass protection when you have the run game going?
Yeah, I mean, if a team's one-dimensional, it's no fun. So if we're going out there and passing the ball all the time, they just, line up in sprinter stances and just kind of go right at us. So, having a two-way go is always good. And, when you got 2 great running backs like we do, keeps teams guessing.
What can you tell folks about Rico? Who is Rico, and what has he brought to your group?
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, man. He's brought a whole different perspective to the offensive line.
We're talking about Rick Dennison, the Jets offensive line coach here.
He's seen it from all views. He, been on Super Bowl teams. He's played for a long time. He was an offense coordinator, so he sees the whole big picture. But he's very critical and very good with technique when it comes to offensive line, and that's what I think is helping us very well this year. So I'm excited to work with him. I'm excited to continue to work with him, and yeah.
You were just talking about the guys to your right and to your left. Why don't you talk about the development of Brandon Shell, who's still a young guy in this league, but he's been starting for a while now, and then Spencer Long taking over that all-important center position.
Yeah, Brandon's been great. He's one of those guys that you can talk to. You can tell him how we like to do it, because with different guys coming in and out, like 3 years ago, it was kind of tough because we had different guys rotating. Yeah. So when you got someone in there who you can build a relationship with and know how he plays a game, it can help you. And he's one of those guys that's just been taking it day at a time, and he's been great. And Spencer's been awesome. He's a very smart player, strong player. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Nick.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got that same smarts. He's unbelievable when it comes to that. So like I said, I think we've got a good room, and I'm excited.
And your rookie quarterback, Sam Darnold, tied a franchise record, I believe it was, going 80% in passes with games of 30 attempts or more. What does that mean for that offensive line to keep him clean, to give him the opportunity to take shots down the field?
Yeah, it's always a good thing when our quarterback stays up, and that's our main goal. We don't ever want anyone to touch him. We want him to be able to have time, do his job. It just gives us confidence going in, and I know it gives him confidence. He just can be more calm in the pocket. He doesn't have to think as much. So I think it's good for both sides.
How calm is he, and do you see a different side of him maybe than people do here outwardly, because you guys are in the room with him and you're in the huddle with him, and ultimately you're the guys protecting Sam Darnold?
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's learning every day. He's got a great mentor. He's got Josh, teaching him everything he needs to know, and he's just I don't know how to explain him. He's a good kid. He's just easy to be around, very fun, and he's confident when he comes in the huddle. He's a very confident player. He leads the huddle even though he's young, but I know when he comes in, I expect him to do great, and we're all confident in him.
Is he somewhat of a jokester around the facility, or you haven't seen that side of him?
I haven't really seen that side of him yet. He doesn't really joke with me.
So this week you guys have a tough challenge with this Minnesota Vikings defense. We all know Sheldon Richardson is coming back to New York. Can you talk about some of the other challenges? I know you haven't got into the film yet.
Right.
You talk about some of the other challenges that this defense poses.
Yeah, they they do a lot of double-A gap stuff, so that'll be challenging for all of us. And as far as their defensive line, they have a great front all around, from both ends to the middle guys. So it'll be a challenge for us. This is a game that we're really going to put on the offensive line.
So double-A gap. Let's go football 101 for folks. What does that mean?
Two guys over the center. So you got the 2-3 techniques, and you got the two guys. You got the nose, and then sometimes you have two A-gap guys, mostly the linebackers that'll walk up. So, it brings a challenge for us. So sometimes they'll rush 6. It doesn't, So it kind of is, it's a fumble thing. So we'll have to game plan them.
Sheldon Richardson, obviously a former first-round pick here, and you lined up against him a few times in training camp.
Yep.
What do you think it's going to be like in game action, you going toe-to-toe?
Yeah, we're going to be going at it. We always did. We always went at it in practice, so it'll be a good matchup. I'm excited to see him. He's actually a good friend of mine, so it'll be fun.
Is he a big talker on the field?
Always, yeah.
What I remember from Sheldon, he's a big talker.
Practice, games, doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah,
he's a competitor.
So you guys are going to be exchanging quite a few pleasantries.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Well, there's another guy on the Minnesota defense that you're cool with. Ben Gideon, you mentioned before that you guys went to high school together.
We did.
What is that going to be like playing against one of your boys from high school?
Yeah, it's going to be cool. He actually was younger than me. I actually played with his older brother, and he was my quarterback. But this kid, he was a heck of an athlete. He was in 8th grade when I was a senior, and he was dunking basketballs and all that. He was a crazy athlete. But when I go back to Hudson and stuff, I see him around, and he's a good kid, and he's a good player, so it'll be cool to play against him.
How much did you watch free agency? Obviously, you're taken care of. You got your deal. But this year, you knew the Jets were far under the cap, and you knew there could be a lot of plans. As Todd Bowles and Mike McKagan said, plan A, plan B, plan C. And it's been well documented that the Jets made a run towards Kirk Cousins. What did you think about that at the time? And now, what do you think the way it's played out for everybody?
Yeah, and I mean, I knew in any situation they were going to do whatever they had to do to get us in the best situation to win. So, I was confident in whatever they had to do, either if it was in the free agency or, in the draft pick. So I'm very happy with the decision we made, and I think he's going to be a great player for us for a long time.
That's good. So can you talk about this chemistry? You guys talk about, we talked about earlier, offensive line is a team within a team. There's a little fine bucket you guys have, and you guys are donating that to charity. Calvin Beecham told us last week. Can you talk about what is an offense that'll get you a fine if you're an offensive lineman?
We have lazy fines when it comes to the games.
Who handles the fines, though? Who's putting them out there?
We got a player in the room. I'm not pointing names. We got a player in the room that we kind of just.
He charts it?
Point the direction to, yeah.
But
we have a board in the room.
But are you the commissioner?
I am not the commissioner. I don't take no parts in the money part.
No?
No, I don't want to have that held over me. But no, there's some funny fines in there, but a lot of it is revolved around the game and kind of make us better.
What about, you said you guys are tight. You guys spent some time off the field. Where are the big uglies? Where are you fellas going to eat every week? Does it change up?
It's funny. We actually are at our house a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we're actually starting this week. We decided on Thursdays we're going to do dinner. So we haven't really picked a spot yet, but I'll get back to you. I'll let you know where we go.
Will you play credit card roulette, or how's that going to work? Who's going to take care of the bill?
In the past, we've done that.
Yeah.
Nick was a big fan of that game.
And Mangold should have been the guy taking care of you all because he's making more money than everybody.
Yeah, he actually, he lost a lot of the time, so it kind of worked out in our favor.
That's the right way.
Because he got that heavy card.
Yeah, he's got the heavy card. Yeah.
So what about, in the past, do you guys do rookie dinners? Where you take the rookie offensive lineman, he has to buy everyone dinner?
Yeah.
Did you have to do that as a rookie?
Absolutely.
What was the total?
It had to be a steak dinner somewhere for these guys.
What was the total of it?
Yeah, how much did you pay for the whole dinner?
You don't want to know
the whole
about
offensive
that.
line.
Shoot. In the teens. It was not good.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
In the teens.
Were you the only rookie?
We actually had two other rookies, yeah, but it went by draft pick, so whoever was the highest had to pay the most.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And we had some guys in our room. We had, Willie, we had the Brickshaw, and I had Mangold. So
when I was a rookie, I had a lot of veterans with the Jets. They didn't make us do a rookie dinner, but every other year, any rookie that came in had to pay.
No.
And we made them pay a lot of money. So I didn't have to go through it myself.
Look at that.
But I reaped the benefits.
Yeah, there you go.
So one last question here for you, Bryan. The offense is taking a lot of steps forward. You're loving what Jeremy Bates is doing because he's got that commitment to the run game. You talked about Rick Dennison, and this line coming together. We've seen the backs do the damage. Sam Darnold's going to different targets each and every week. What's next for you guys? Is it red zone efficiency, and how do you get there?
Yeah, we just want to grow as a team all around. Speaking for the offensive line, there's always things we got to work on, and we always got to get better at. And if we do those jobs and we correct what we have to correct, everyone's going to do better. And red zone is a big thing. Last week we got there a lot, but we didn't capitalize on 7 points, and that's the main goal. We got points, but we didn't get the points we wanted. So that's something we'll practice this week, and that's something we're going to really focus on.
Bryan, a great spot. We thank you so much for joining us tonight on Inside the Jets, and we will be right back.
Ernst & Young LLP is proud to be the exclusive professional business and accounting services sponsor of the New York Jets and MetLife Stadium. Teaming with them as the official sponsor of the EY Coaches Club. As a global leader in assurance, tax, transaction, and advisory services, the global network of EY firms has better connected consultants who help organizations navigate the transformative age by asking better questions to find answers to some of the world's toughest challenges, all to build a better working world for their people, clients, and communities.
As a young boy, Gavin loved playing football. He lived and breathed it, wanted to go pro. Why, he'd spend hours upon hours just practicing his touchdown dances. And one day, while getting fitted for bifocals, he realized he was never much good at throwing, or running, or catching, or even kicking. Yeah, Gavin's chances of playing pro football were looking like fourth and long. Very long. But he did hear how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. Then he did kind of a touchdown dance. At least he was still good at that.
Jet fans, take your Sunday to another level with the premier Jets pregame party at Club Prime Sport. Enjoy food and drinks, games and giveaways, plus live entertainment. Elevate your game day at MetLife Stadium with a Jets experience like no other. Go to primesport.com or call 877-527-2603 today to secure your spot at the official Jets pregame hospitality at Club Prime Sport. With Prime Sport, it's more than a game, it's an experience. Primesport.com.
They couldn't play football without us. We built this stadium. You couldn't tailgate without us. We probably built the road that got you here. Most of all, we promote economic development. That means investments in infrastructure and construction to provide opportunities for developers, union contractors, and members of Operating Engineers Local 825. We're ELEC, the Engineers Labor Employer Cooperative. We build the infrastructure New Jersey and the Jets rely on.
Hey, Jets fans, New Jersey Motor Vehicle Chief Administrator Sue Fulton here to welcome you back for a brand new season of action-packed NFL football and to warn you about the dangers of texting while driving. Sure, fines and penalties are steep, but did you know you're also 23 times more likely to get into an accident if you text and drive? Or that taking your eyes off the road for just 5 seconds at highway speeds is like traveling the length of a football field blindfolded? That's not a winning drive, Jets fans. Learn more at justdrive.com.
Advance your career at Centenary University's School of Professional Studies. With accelerated scheduling and competitive pricing, it's convenient for busy adults to earn an MBA, undergraduate degree, or certificate. Centenary graduates work in hot fields like social media marketing, criminal justice, data analytics, health administration, and sports management. At Centenary University, they're committed to your success. Learn more at sps.centenaryuniversity.edu.
Darnold fakes a screen, fires one left sideline, wide open, making the catch at the 10. Chris Herndon walks into the end zone. Touchdown. Perfectly designed play by Jeremy Bates.
Welcome back to Inside the Jets. We're broadcasting live from Vanderbilt Sports and Spirits inside the Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel. Erik Allen and Erik Coleman here. Inside the Jets is supported by M&T Bank, the official community bank of your New York Jets. Good win against the Indianapolis Colts. Very good win against the Denver Broncos. Now the Jets are stepping up in class because Denver's scuffling a little bit. Indianapolis is in rebuilding mode, even though they have a franchise quarterback in Andrew Luck. But the Minnesota Vikings, they could contend for an NFC championship.
Yeah, there were a lot of football experts that before the season picked Minnesota Vikings to be playing in the Super Bowl this year. You know, they have a ton of talent. They brought in Kirk Cousins. Their receivers are amazing. They're Pro Bowlers. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and their defense is supposed to be one of the tops in the league. They haven't been playing so great at the beginning of the season.
3-2-1,
but they're starting to catch their stride. They're starting to catch their stride. So this is a great time for the Jets to see what they have against the Minnesota Vikings, and it's going to be a nice barometer.
Yeah, you mentioned Thielen and Diggs. Different receivers, but both very productive, especially Thielen. I mean, coming out of the gates this season, 100 yards every game, first 5 games.
Yeah, Adam Thielen is a guy who can break down a secondary. He's smart. He runs excellent routes, and he's a great athlete. You know,
he's more quick than fast, though, right?
Yeah, but he does have the speed. And, you know, he makes some of those catches that kind of you have to watch again. Like, man, did he really make that catch? You know, so Thielen, he's a guy who's tough in the red zone. And then you add in the fact that they have Kyle Rudolph, one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL. You know, I played against him several times in Detroit, and every time we played against him, you know, when you watch that film, he's scoring touchdowns on safeties. So Kyle Rudolph is another weapon. They're getting the run game going. You see if Dalvin Cook comes back to help Latavius Murray in the run game. This is a team that has a lot of weapons.
So let's talk about it. Back in the spring, the Jets, option A, Kirk Cousins. It came down to them and the Vikings. Obviously picked the Vikings. What did you think of the Jets' pursuit of him at that time?
Well, at that time, I thought it was smart.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of the most sought-after free agent quarterbacks out on the market. And if the Jets didn't make a play, then I would be kind of questioning what was going on. But I thought it was very smart by them to go after Kirk Cousins. He chose to go with the Vikings, and I think it ended up being a great situation for both teams. The Vikings got themselves a veteran quarterback. The Jets got a franchise quarterback in Sam Darnold, and I think that ultimately the Jets are going to have a lot more longevity out of Sam Darnold than they would have had with Kirk Cousins.
Does Cousins have a fatal flaw? What happened in Washington? Why did the Redskins say, we want to lock this guy up long term?
Well, you know, Kirk Cousins, you know, much like other great quarterbacks, people who have good streaks, he gets streaky.
Okay.
You know, where he stares down receivers at times. He will make a couple of throws every game that will put the team in jeopardy. A lot of the times they're dropped interceptions.
Trust in his arm too much?
Yeah, trust his arm too much. Has a lot of confidence in his arm. But at the same time, he's going to leave some plays out there for the Jets defense to take advantage of and get some turnovers.
Jets Rewards members, don't forget to enter the code FRANCHISE in your Jets Rewards portal during the show to earn 100 points. So, did you like the way the Jets pivoted, though? After Cousins doesn't happen, they go make a trade, they move up. You don't know who they're going to get, but they land Sam Darnold. And we were talking about it before the show, E. Now you have a quarterback who looks like the real deal, who continues to improve each and every week. He's 21 years old. Oh, he's cost-friendly as well. And you're not paying a quarterback $30 million.
Yeah, it was a smart move that way. You know, you look at a lot of teams around the league, you know, the Seattle Seahawks, who paid their quarterback, $100+ million. they don't have a great offensive line because they can't pay anyone. You look at with Andrew Luck with the Colts. Yeah. They paid their quarterback all kinds of money, and they can't put the pieces around him. The Jets made a great decision because they drafted Sam Darnold. They don't have to pay him too much money. They can put the pieces around him to help him be successful and to ultimately help this team be a contender.
Todd Bowles and this coaching staff are concentrated on winning each and every week, as they should be. Mike Maccagnan can look at the roster long-term and short-term. And the Jets, I continue to go back here. If I'm a fan, you're 3-3 right now. You're seeing a lot of young players develop in front of your eyes, and you have the most money in terms of the salary cap next spring. Financial flexibility. That's so important when you look at this roster, when you look at the New York Jets long-term.
Yeah, I mean, the future is bright for the Jets. You know, they have a lot of young talent. They have a ton of money to spend on free agency, and they're doing it the right way. They're bringing in good people first, great football players second, and the guys who are going to buy into the culture. And if you look at this team, when you watch them on the sideline, you watch them off the field, this is a close-knit group. You know, we talked about the offensive line spending a lot of time together, but how about the secondary? They got a nickname, New Jack City. You know, these guys love spending time with one another, and that chemistry right there is what helps those teams get through the tough times, get through the ups and downs of a season.
What about the recent additions? I mean, you got to give Maccagnan and the staff a lot of credit. You think the free agency. And I didn't know too much about Avery Williamson. I know he was a tackling machine in Tennessee, but he's exceeded my expectations. Then Isaiah Crowell, I think people within the league knew how talented a back he was, but I think when you look at his production early on, you're saying, wow. Maccagnan trades a 7th-round pick for a guy like Henry Anderson. He becomes part of that defensive line rotation. Then we talk about the draft. I think there are a lot of exciting things going on right now for this team.
Yeah, you know, you got to give a shout-out to Mike Maccagnan in the scouting department. They did an excellent job with the free agent acquisitions this year. You know, Avery Williamson, a guy who in the past playing for the Titans was a tackling machine, but at the same time, he was a guy who they had to bring off the field on third downs. Yeah. You know, not an every down linebacker. He's worked on his game, become an every down player, and become one of the better pieces on this Jets defense.
And he's become a turnover machine.
Forcing turnovers, getting pass breakups. You know, it's great to see all the things he's doing out there on the field. So Isaiah Crowell, you look at. He's a player, a great running back, but he played on a bad team. Yeah. A team when you're playing from behind, you can't run the ball. So he wasn't able to get the opportunities that other running backs got. Now with the Jets, they have a winning team, they have an opportunity, and he's taking advantage of it.
And then you go to the secondary right now. The Jets have done this without an important piece the last couple of weeks in Trumaine Johnson. He's your big ticket in free agency. He's missed the last 2 games with a quad injury. It would be huge to get that monstrous cornerback against the Vikings, but you can't rush him back either. You know that.
No, you definitely can't rush him back because you want him throughout the stretch of the season. And it's been great to see this secondary, you know, with the next man up mentality. You know, they believe
these guys are getting valuable reps when you're talking about Darryl Roberts and Perry Nickerson.
Perry Nickerson comes in and plays the nickel position, and that's a tough position. That's a thinking position. And for a rookie to step in and play as well as Nickerson has, you know, it's very impressive. You know, yes, he's going to make his mistakes. Yes, he's going to get beat on a couple of plays, but you're not hearing his number called for the wrong reasons too much this season.
No, the Jets have given up the yards the past couple weeks, but when they had to make a play on defense, they have. How about the tight end position? We talk about Sam Darnold moving the ball around, using different targets. Herndon steps up. They also get Neil Sterling back in the lineup. So once the tight ends start coming together, you have even more weapons. And, again, he's an equal opportunity distributor.
Yeah, and that's what I love about him. You know, for being as young as he is, he does a great job of scanning the field. And, you know, when you look at Andrew Luck, you know, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. You know, obviously everyone in the NFL respects him. But he has times where he stares down receivers, as he did on the Darren Lee interception. There are times when quarterbacks lock on receivers too much. Sam Darnold is a guy who's really learning not to do that. He's scanning the field. He's checking his first option. If it's not open, he'll go through his progression, make the right play, and get the ball to whoever's open, no matter who's hot.
Here's what young quarterbacks will do. And Darnold did it a couple times against the Cleveland Browns, is you know it better than anybody. They will jump out of the pocket when they feel a rush that might not be there. But what you're seeing from Sam Darnold the last couple weeks, he's standing in that pocket. It's a clean pocket, and he's not escaping and making it harder on himself. That is another step in his development that we're seeing each and every week. And then he's reading quicker, and he's going through those progressions and letting that ball rip out.
Yeah, I mean, and we call that seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
Right? When you're back there in the pocket and you take off for no reason. You know, Sam, and this offensive line, you have to give credit to. Bryan Winters and the rest of the crew have done a great job of protecting him. The run game helps with that as well. You know, just like Brian said, when you're teeing off in the run game, it doesn't make it so easy for that pass rush to get after you. And they've done a great job of establishing the run, protecting the quarterback, giving him a clean pocket, and his receivers doing a great job on the perimeter.
I'll tell you what. You know, I know the cameras are going to follow the ball on Sunday, but me in the press box, there's going to be a couple plays. I'm just going to isolate myself on 67 Bryan Winters against Sheldon Richardson.
That's going to be a good one. And you know Sheldon's going to be amped up to come play against his old team. You know, his adrenaline is going to be going. And the bad thing for Sheldon is Bryan Winters and Carpenter is on the other side. And those are two men you really don't want to mess with.
From your perspective, can you take advantage of that as a player, of knowing a guy's going to come in here and he's going to be awfully hyped to play against his former teammates and the organization that drafted him?
Absolutely. When you get a defense that's trying to get after the quarterback, that's salivating over getting to the quarterback, that's when the screen game comes into play. You use their strength against them. And Jeremy Bates has done a great job of that all year. I expect him to install a couple of screens. You're going to see Bilal Powell catch some screens and run for a couple of yards this week. And that's one of the ways you can neutralize a fast pass rush. Also draws and misdirections and things like that. But running the football is the ultimate neutralizer of a great pass rush.
Yeah, the last game of a 3-game homestand, if the Jets can get this one, they go to 4-3. Then a couple road games. You go to Chicago and face a Bears team who has improved a lot defensively, even though they gave up a ton of yards against the Miami Dolphins. And speaking of Miami, then the Jets will go to Miami. The back half of the Jets' 2018 season schedule, I should say, is loaded with AFC East opponents.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the tough thing about playing in the AFC East. You know, every time you play against an AFC East opponent, it's going to be a dogfight. You know, you look at the Buffalo Bills, they're not having the best season, but when they play within that division, they know each other well. They know the personnel, they know the schemes, and it's just all about football. And there's a lot of pride that goes into that as well. So this AFC East is a tough division, but if you can come out on top, you know, you put yourself in a great position to make a nice run of the playoffs.
All right, so here, I'm just writing this down. The next 4 games, Jets sit here 3-3. Week 11, they have the bye. Week 7, we know. Home against Minnesota. Week 8 at Chicago. Week 9 at Miami. Then at home against Buffalo. What do you want this team's record to be there over the next 4? Again, it's Minnesota at home, at Chicago, at Miami, home to Buffalo.
I mean, well, obviously, I'd like them to be 7-3.
Yeah, but where do you have to be to set yourself up for a playoff run down the line?
All right, so, I mean, I think ultimately you have to put yourself at a
6-4
situation right now, going down the stretch.
Right.
That would be a great situation for them to be in. You win that home game against Buffalo. You win against Miami. Maybe, you know, Chicago gets fired. You know, you never know what happens in these games. But if they come out 6-4, they leave themselves in a great position to make a run at the wild card or the AFC East.
Yeah. Listen, did you watch that game last night?
Oh, my goodness. That was a video game.
It was a video game. And that's the thing. I think the Jets are giving up yards, and they played in a high-scoring game themselves against the Colts. But when you look at Kansas City, when you look at New England, you say, okay, dynamic offenses, but you can score on those defenses. And when I look at the AFC right now, those are the 2 teams that stand out.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no reason why the Jets can't get into the mix.
No reason at all. And I like the fact that the Jets have such a talented defense, and they pride themselves on their defense and eliminating big plays. And I think if they continue to play great defense, run the football well, you put yourself in a great position, because every game you're not going to be, all these teams that are scoring 40 points, they're not going to be clicking offensively, especially when you play a Jets team with the secondary, if they all get healthy, with the pass rush they have. There's a lot of different things that can complement this Jets defense that can stop a high-powered offense.
Inside the Jets, we are broadcasting live from Vanderbilt Sports and Spirits inside the Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel. Erik Allen and Erik Coleman will be right back for a final segment.
We haven't seen a superstar like this in years.
You're not kidding, Bob. The people need to know about this standout.
Introducing this year's most sought-after rookie, the M&T Bank Jets debit card. New on the scene, this fantastic plastic stands 2.125 inches tall and weighs a lean 0.2 ounces. This small but mighty paying machine is sure to be charging through checkout lines all season long.
Hey Jets fans, get your hands on the exclusive Jets debit card with Easy Choice Checking. It's free from a monthly maintenance fee and free from a minimum balance requirement, leaving you free from worry.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing this powerhouse everywhere soon.
No doubt about it. I want one on my team.
So show your love for the Jets and save on fees today. Rush to any M&T Bank branch or mtb.com/Jets today. M&T Bank, the official community bank of your New York Jets. Other transaction and service fees, including insufficient funds and overdraft fees, may apply to this account. Member FDIC.
Ernst & Young LLP is proud to be the exclusive professional business and accounting services sponsor of the New York Jets and MetLife Stadium. Teaming with them as the official sponsor of the EY Coaches Club. As a global leader in assurance, tax, transaction, and advisory services, the global network of EY firms has better connected consultants who help organizations navigate the transformative age by asking better questions to find answers to some of the world's toughest challenges, all to build a better working world for their people, clients, and communities.
As a young boy, Gavin loved playing football. He lived and breathed it, wanted to go pro. Why, he'd spend hours upon hours just practicing his touchdown dances. And one day, while getting fitted for bifocals, he realized he was never much good at throwing, or running, or catching, or even kicking. Yeah, Gavin's chances of playing pro football were looking like fourth and long. Very long. But he did hear how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. Then he did kind of a touchdown dance. At least he was still good at that.
They couldn't play football without us. We built this stadium. You couldn't tailgate without us. We probably built the road that got you here. Most of all, we promote economic development. That means investments in infrastructure and construction to provide opportunities for developers, union contractors, and members of Operating Engineers Local 825. We're ELEC, the Engineers Labor Employer Cooperative. We build the infrastructure New Jersey and the Jets rely on.
Around my house, I'm called difficult. I know what I want, and I always want more. Take my insurance, for instance. I want more coverages, but there's no chance I'm paying more for it. My agent knows this, and that's why she recommended the Selective Edge. With the Selective Edge, I get higher coverage limits and even coverages I didn't know I need. And my agent knows what discounts I deserve. More coverage, more options, less money. That's not too difficult, is it? Find an agent near you by visiting selective.com. Selective. Response is everything.
Hi, football fans. This is Director Jared Maples with the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. It's our mission to protect New Jersey with our federal, state, and local partners. Of course, nobody knows our communities better than the people who live there. That's where you can help. If you see something that you suspect is out of the ordinary, report it. Together, we can keep our state safe. Remember, if you see something, say something. To learn more about what to look for, visit njhomelandsecurity.gov.
Hey, Jets fans, New Jersey Motor Vehicle Chief Administrator Sue Fulton here to welcome you back for a brand new season of action-packed NFL football and to warn you about the dangers of texting while driving. Sure, fines and penalties are steep, but did you know you're also 23 times more likely to get into an accident if you text and drive? Or that taking your eyes off the road for just 5 seconds at highway speeds is like traveling the length of a football field blindfolded? That's not a winning drive, Jets fans. Learn more at justdrive.com.
Andre Roberts to the near side, Herndon to the far side. And there is the pooch kick, and it's right into the arms of one of the Jet forward protectors. Neil Sterling, the tight end, catches it on a fly and ends the game for the Jets. as Darnold heads out on the field, knowing that it is 3 kneel downs away from a Jet victory, their second in a row. They'll be 3-3 through the first 6 weeks.
Welcome back to Inside the Jets. Eric Allen and Erik Coleman. We are at Vanderbilt Sports and Spirits inside the Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel. Inside the Jets is supported by Selective Insurance. Response is everything. Great response from the Jets after starting 1-3. They've taken care of business at home the last 2 games. The final game of a 3-game homestand is this Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. It could be the toughest of the bunch. When I look at the Jets so far this season, 48 points in week 1, 42 points in week 6, 34 points in week 5. This team is starting to score some points this year. Those are figures we haven't seen from this club in the past, and you're getting contributions from all 3 phases.
Yeah, you really are, and they're playing great team football. You know, defensively, they're turning the ball over, getting the ball back to the offense in great field position. Offensively, they're capitalizing on a lot of mismatches in the secondary. They're running the football well. You know, the one spot we were talking about was the red zone. You know, can you come through in the red zone? 7 field goals last week.
Jason Myers, you got to give him credit.
Shout out to the kicker,
he better be AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Absolutely.
With that being said, kind of a double-edged sword. You don't want your field goal kicker coming out or your kicker coming out for 7 field goals.
No, you don't. You want to end those drives in extra points, not field goals. So, you know, I think the red zone is something that they'll work on and they'll continue to improve on, get the tight ends more involved, and capitalize on that situation.
So what happens when the field shrinks?
You know what? As a guy in the secondary,
yes.
it gets a little easier to defend when you're in the red zone because you don't have to worry about the receivers beating you deep. You know, there's only such a small window that quarterback has to fit it in. And a lot of these teams are playing what they call red 2 defense.
Okay.
Where it ends up being 7 guys across the goal line. And when you run 7 across the goal line, you can't run behind you. It makes it tough. So the only thing you can really do is run that football to loosen them up, make them get in a blitz situation so you can get a one-on-one matchup on the outside.
What about tendencies? Is that a constant part of the evolution, whether offense or defensively, where Jeremy Bates right now is looking at what the Jets have done inside that red zone over the past 3 or 4 games and said, well, this isn't working, or maybe this is working, and maybe we should go to more of this?
Yeah, I mean, the coaches are constantly self-scouting and evaluating what works and what doesn't work, especially when it comes to the red zone. They're watching films on other teams. So they're watching all the Vikings games and seeing how did they get beat in the red zone. And let's see if they got that fixed. So that's something that they're going to do also. They'll install some of the plays that other teams ran in the red zone. So, you know, Pryor's getting more involved. He's a big target in the red zone. You get the tight ends involved down there.
Yep.
It's always tough to defend those guys on the interior part of the defense because you have linebackers matched up with wide receivers. You have linebackers guarding tight ends. You know, that's a great matchup that the Jets should take advantage of.
The Vikings defensively, they've been pretty solid against the run, but they've been susceptible to some big plays in the past game. What do you think about that as you look ahead to this week's matchup?
Well, you know, that's very surprising because when you look on paper, this secondary is one of the tops in the leagues. You know, Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, Harrison Smith is arguably one of the best safeties in the NFL.
Yep.
And that
they lost the key part. Mike Hughes is now on injured reserve.
They did lose Mike Hughes, but this team has been together for a couple of years. The secondary has been together. So you don't expect those miscommunications in the back end, those free runners running through the secondary. And they're starting to pick it up. They're starting to play better. But I still like the odds of the Jets and what they bring to the table because it's diversified. They have so many big playmakers, and it's going to be tough to match up across the board.
So Bryan Winters was giving us some advanced scouting there in the double-A gap. But what is the trademark of a Mike Zimmer defense that Sam Darnold will be facing this week?
Well, Mike Zimmer likes to pressure a lot. You know, they do play some cover 2 where they have that middle linebacker close in the middle of the field. That's where you take advantage with the vertical routes by your tight ends, by your slot receivers. Because when you run the play action and you get that linebacker to stop his feet and not get depth, that's when you start to see the quarterback hit those seam routes and take advantage of that.
How do you slow down the train that is Kirk Cousins right now? Because he is in a zone early this season.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. You know, it's going to rely heavily on the pass rush. Leonard Williams, they're going to have to mix up some blitzes.
Yep.
They're going to have to mix up some coverages. They didn't blitz a lot last week because Andrew Luck, all he does is pass. They dropped 8 quite a bit, and that's smart. That's a smart game plan. This week, you have to change things up to match Kirk Cousins. He's a guy that gets the ball out quick. He has a big arm. He's able to hit the windows in zone defense, so the man-to-man coverage is going to have to be on point.
But you think there will be plays to be made for that secondary because Cousins is a riverboat gambler.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is going to give you a couple. He's going to give you 2 or 3 passes that if you catch them, if you make them pay, then it's going to change the course of the game. So the secondary has to be prepared. They have to play. Everyone do their job, be in the right position, and wait for Kirk Cousins to make that mistake and make him pay for it.
Another thing that stood out to me, just taking a quick look at the Vikings here, is that Cousins had 7 balls batted down on him at the line of scrimmage. What's that all about?
Well, he does have a low release.
Okay.
He kind of has that 3/4 release, like a baseball player. He has that cannon like a Matthew Stafford in Detroit, where if you get your pass rush and you're not getting there, the D-line gets their hands up. You create some opportunities for the guys in the back end.
Well, we'll have to see what happens Sunday at MetLife Stadium. I anticipate a raucous environment as the Jets try to push the record to 4-3. Once again, we thank Bryan Winters for coming out tonight on Inside the Jets. And, of course, E and I will be right back here at Vanderbilt Sports and Spirits inside the Wyndham Hamilton Park Hotel next week.
We haven't seen a superstar like this in years.
You're not kidding, Bob. The people need to know about this standout.
Introducing this year's most sought-after rookie, the M&T Bank Jets debit card. New on the scene, this fantastic